So my name is Roger Davis. I know I've met a couple of you guys, and for the other ones that were in orientation that I wasn't here, I apologize. So I manage the Blackwell fleet, all the trucks, the drivers, the dispatchers, our accounts. I do all the contractual agreements, rate agreements, stuff like that for our company. So if you guys ever need me, I know obviously most of you guys are Blackwell drivers except for a trader over there. And so totally open door policy with me. I think you guys have found, even with our other managers and our president, that we're 100% open door policy. Okay? So if you guys ever need anything, come talk to me. So roundtable, which is what we're doing here. This was really designed to be that for you guys. To be a platform where we can all talk about issues, industry, changes, company changes, what you guys are experiencing out on the road. If you guys have any comments, questions, that's what this is designed for. Okay, so I like to open it up to a lot of communication. Let's talk. So, but first, I introduce myself. I want you to go around the room, introduce your guys' selves, your name, where you guys came from, what you did before coming to Combine in Blackwell. So,
Lisa Cooper. I drove for Swift and Western Express.
okay, how was that experience?
Western Express, really not nice things to say.
Well, you don't have to say them then.
But yeah, and Swift was fine.
Yeah, good. Then you came here for the Hermiston, right?
I did come for the Hermiston and it got changed to water.
So water. So I know it's maybe a little bit of disappointment for you, but I really think you'll enjoy that lane. There's a single dispatcher for that. He runs all of our dedicated accounts, and I think you're going on right too. Are you doing the water
Not
lane
water,
too?
I'm doing refrigerated.
Oh, you're doing OGC?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. So the water lane, we deliver to Spokane almost every day. So that's a huge benefit to you. And I can explain it a little more if you want me to, but anyway, welcome.
My name's Felicia. I'm from Corning, California. I worked for the county for almost 4 years, and I'll be doing the water run too.
Cool. So how often do you go get those olives down there?
I don't
Never?
and I live not too far from the
Really?
Bell Carter.
All right, so your first southbound trip, we expect a couple of those jars.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome here.
My name's Troy. I live in Portland, and I had driven a little in the past and decided to get back into it, and so I drove for May for 2 years. And anyway, this was quite a substantial raise, and anyway, I'm looking forward to a change, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to just fuel when I want to fuel,
You drove from May. Yeah. Yeah.
instead of asking for fuel
Sure.
and waiting for a response and keep sending my levels in. And I guess it was a little more frustrating for me because I'd worked for 2 other companies, with Swift and Werner, where I had my own fuel card. I just fueled the truck when I needed to, or
Yeah.
with Swift, they picked it, but it was always, I never had to, I was never sending levels in or asking for it
So May did
all
that?
the time.
That's the way May did it?
Yeah, that's the way it is, and I mean, I don't know, I'm just,
So I mean, in short of giving you, fuel choices, I mean, we'll send you an email with optimal fuel locations.
well, yeah, we've got the app here
Yeah.
that
the fuel
shows,
look, Yeah.
um,
Yeah, but I mean, once you get your dispatch, we'll go above that, right? We'll send you an email that says, hey, here's the optimal fuel locations.
oh,
But
great.
you can do with it what you want.
Well,
You know
that's
what I
even
mean?
better, that's fine, that's great.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one thing that we really pride ourselves in is the lack of micromanagement for our drivers. I mean, now naturally, if you're running on E and you're headed southbound and you're in Phoenix, Oregon, I'd rather not keep going to weed where it's $1.50 more a gallon and fill it there. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
we really rely on the drivers to make those choices.
Yeah,
And make good choices for it. So, but we're not going to micromanage this. So,
Yeah.
and I think you'll enjoy that OGC lane. Have you ever ran produce?
I did a little bit
Yeah.
for me, not a whole
This
lot,
is-
but, it
this is
wasn't
the-
it wasn't as scary as I thought it was. I mean,
This is piece of cake, let me tell you, because it's what we're doing is the loads are already consolidated on that lane. So you're basically running south, you're picking up a consolidated load, so it's one pick. And then you're heading north and you're delivering it to the customer. And those guys are Johnny on the spot. And not only that, but we have a drop trailer at the facility, so you just drop it and head back south and go get another one. You know?
Oh.
One of the largest distributors of organic produce is what they are.
oh, yeah,
So, well, welcome.
thank you.
My name's Todd. I'm from Spirit Lake, Idaho. Been a welder, millwright foreman for the last 10 years. Drove for a little while when I was younger, and now decided to get back into it.
Yeah, so you had a commercial license before?
No, I drove illegally.
Shh. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's cool. So, so being a millwright, a welder, I can only assume that you're probably getting older and just getting out of
Yep,
that. Yeah,
exactly.
I've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
Cool. So what lane are you going on?
Western.
Western?
Reefer.
Cool. So you're pretty open to going up and down the I-5 and up West Coast, all over the place in the West Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think you'll enjoy that too, so. Next.
I'm Ashley, I'm from Yuba City, California. I kind of bounced around and then I rode with Matt and fell in love and also got twitchy just riding, so,
So you wanted to drive?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be doing Reefer West, but I'm hoping to eventually go Reefer OTR.
Okay. Just see the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, you know, last year we kind of reeled a lot of the drivers back from OTR, like way out there, because we were going to like New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. We would go down to Florida and, you know, all that, but what we found is the resources, the rates, profitability was just so much higher on the West Coast, you know, that it made more sense just to pull all those drivers back to the West Coast, you know. Naturally, like 95% or better of our drivers are based on the West Coast anyway, so getting them home consistently was way better on the West Coast. So, but now that we're really structured here, we're starting to venture back out. You know, we're doing it slow and methodical so that we know that we can keep the drivers running, that the loads are always going to be there. We're broadening our customer base out there. So Texas is probably one of the first states that we're opening back up. And then we'll probably start going back to the Midwest slowly. And then, you know, eventually we'll probably go back all the way.
Have any loads out east, hit me up.
Oh, we do, yeah.
I would love to see more than the West Coast.
Yeah, well, you will. Matt?
Well, my name's Matthew. Like to say I'm from Arkansas before I say from California. I did Reefer West for about the last 6-7 months for Blackwell, and now I'm going on to Class OTR.
Cool. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we knew you were gonna do that from day one, right?
Oh yeah, I never wanted to do that in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once you get down to Fresno, I think you'll like it. You know, we've transferred a lot of drivers, a lot of students down there. In fact, I think we got our first students that already went through Glass and is now transitioning into heavy haul. So that's a cool transition too, if you're ever interested, so.
I hope my plan is to be the super heavy haul.
Yeah, yeah, the super loads, multi-axle guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks. So, you know, one thing I want to talk about is kind of our structure. We're actually doing a structure change. So for everybody else here, other than Matthew, nobody will know, but he'll know. So the way the dispatch office works is we work in as territory managers. That is, one group of dispatchers works a certain group, or excuse me, territory in the United States. So what that means is, like, if you deliver to Portland, the team that loads out of the Pacific Northwest will load you out of Portland. Well, if you went down to, say, Phoenix, Arizona, the Northwest team, their load would see it all the way through delivery. After you got to delivery, the Southwest team would then pick up, right, and load you out of there. Now, if you went to Texas, now the OTR team would pick up from there and load you out of there and so forth, you know. So what was going on was we were bouncing dispatchers all over the place. You had to know who to call, when to call them, who was loading you out. And our dispatcher said, the dispatches that you got said who your next dispatcher is. However, the theory was, and it works, is that when you go to LA, for instance, and you load a load out of LA, the team that's loading that load knows everything there is to know about that load. That's all they do, right? That's all the loads they do, day in, day out. They know the docksman's name, they know their hours of operation, they know where to park, all this, right? So it was pretty efficient. However, it was slightly confusing to the customers, right? Especially customers that ship from multiple locations in the United States for us. It was fairly confusing for the drivers. However, once they got it, they seemed to get it, right? Do you agree with that, Matthew?
Yeah, it took me a while to get
Yeah.
used to it, yeah.
Yeah. So the problem with it that I found is when we first started, we had roughly 65 trucks, okay, in Blackwell. And so we were primarily the West Coast with that fleet. This was during the acquisition back in 2012. And as time progressed, you know, that fleet was just kind of staying right there in those numbers. That's how big it was. Well, we decided we wanted to grow, so we started buying more trucks, filling those trucks. And today we got about 160 trucks in the fleet. And so right now what's happening is those territory managers are starting to burst out of the seams. And we found that in the next few years, our goal is to really continue growing the fleet. And eventually, maybe even by the end of next year, we could be approaching 200 trucks. And so the operation that we have today is not scalable, okay? And so just adding more dispatchers to each region is really tough. I mean, it's really tough. So the workload was always pretty unbalanced, okay? So we wanted to change that. And so for the past couple weeks, in fact, we've been thinking about this a lot, but in the past week or two, we've been trialing fleet managers. And that's a huge operational change for us. IT has to be involved. The dispatchers all have to understand an operational change, and probably the guys from like May and Swift, and they've had fleet managers before, right? We never have. And so the dedicated fleets do have a fleet manager. You have one point of contact, and he manages all the accounts, like the water account and the OGC account, and he also manages all those drivers. Well, we found that model, which by nature is a little bit more efficient because it is dedicated, he was able to do a lot more work with a lot more drivers and a lot less time. That's efficiency, extreme efficiency. Now again, it is dedicated, but we also found that there was a lot less turnover in that fleet. Next to none, actually. And so we started thinking about it, and we were thinking, well, why don't we do this with the rest of the fleet? And so I guess the answer was just always, just because we've always done it this way. Which, if anybody knows me, that's like the opposite of what I think, right? Status quo is not something that I typically like to follow. I'm always looking for better ways to do things, better ways to, retain our customers, retain our drivers. So we really feel like, and even the dispatchers feel like, that moving to a fleet manager is going to help with all of that. It's going to balance workloads. It's going to help the drivers know who to talk to, obviously. And likewise for the dispatcher, what you end up finding, and what our dedicated dispatcher Trevor finds, is that he knows all the drivers. He knows all their abilities. He knows what they can do, what they don't really like to do, and he tries to abide by that, right? So we're gonna do it. And probably we're gonna implement it somewhere around the first of the year. So, now, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, believe it or not. We're not just gonna take this group of drivers, put them over here, take this group of drivers, go over here. We're gonna try and balance those fleets out. And as we're hiring new drivers, we'll evenly distribute them. So the workload will always be the same. The point of contact will always be the same. We are moving a couple of the dispatchers to what we call account managers. And these account managers will be in charge of the actual customers, the accounts, which is just like what our dedicated dispatcher does. So they will be the point of contact for the customers. And that's gonna help us with our communication with our customers too. Because right now the customers also have to bounce around between all kinds of different people. Wait a second, who loads out of here, who loads, because we do have a lot of customers that load out of LA, they load out of Chicago, they load out of Texas, they, you know, big customers. So they're constantly searching for also who to contact. So this, we feel like is gonna eliminate that too. Create better relationships with our customers. And mind you, we're 100% customer direct, 100%. So, which means we don't take any brokered freight, which is if you've never driven before, you probably don't know, but huge benefit to drivers, huge benefit. Taking brokered freight is like having a middleman between you, your dispatcher, and the actual customer's information that we need, right? So we're 100% customer direct. Most of our customers, we have them on speed dial, their cell phone numbers, everything. So we're really quick to source that information for our drivers, okay? So that's one of the big operational changes in Blackwell. We're all really excited about it. We're all really nervous about it, you know, because it is a big change. But, you know, for everybody else, even if people are listening, you know, bear with us. We're pretty good at execution. So we've thought this through. We have IT involved. We're developing new reports. So I really think it's going to be extremely beneficial to our drivers. Now, for the dedicated drivers that are here, it's going to be like this immediately. You guys have a fleet dispatcher now. His name's Trevor. You guys met him?
No, but the lady that we talked to had just told us what you did,
Oh yeah,
that everyone's gonna have, there's 3 of them?
Deborah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so she let us know that that was happening.
yeah. So that's a big change, right? And so, like I said, we're probably going to do it around the start of the year. So, and the dedicated guys won't know any different. Okay. Anybody have any questions on how that works? No? Okay. With the growth of our company, with Blackwell, next year, you know, we're buying new trucks, we're buying new trailers. However, that's been a struggle too. I've never seen a year that's been this hard to get trucks and trailers. Our allocations are like nothing. We used to, years past, you used to go and say, hey, I want 200 trailers next year. All right, sign here. It was done, you know. Now, a lot of our dealers are on allocation at the manufacturer. So they're saying, look, we get 900 trailers this year. We need 19,000, you know. And so there's a huge shortage of equipment. The weed fleet, the water fleet is feeling this right now. We're flat out of dry vans. Flat out of dry vans. I don't have one dry van for you guys. So what's happening is we're having to use reefers to haul the dry freight, which is tough because some of those loads bounce right up to 80,000 pounds, you know. And obviously when we're running a reefer for dry freight, we're losing a refrigerated trailer for our refrigerated freight. So we're drastically trying to find new dry vans. We just purchased, I believe, 35 brand new dry vans, but we had to split it up between multiple manufacturers just to get that. You know what I mean? The reefers are the same way. You know, we're gonna get new reefers. I think next year we're getting Freightliners, all new Freightliners. Right now, I believe we have 35 trucks on the way for Blackwell. So that's good. I'm hoping to get like another 15 Volvos if we can. So that would put us about 180 trucks by fourth quarter next year. That's a good number, right? Yeah. So I always say like, we're just the right size to have some of the buying power to get into really good customers. You know, they wanna work with us because we got that many trucks. But we're still small enough that we can still have that personal relationship with the drivers, with the customers. The dispatchers all know you guys' names and stuff like that. Like, I don't even care what truck number you are, you know, I wanna know your name, you know? So that is still, real heavy on our culture here. So I wanna be careful that we don't get out of that. Okay. So that's kind of our purchasing for next year. It's kind of an interesting time right now, really interesting time. But the good news is, especially for the students, this is one of the best times in trucking. I mean, there is more freight than we know what to do with. Absolutely. I mean, there's been years past where it's like, man, this guy's on his way. Am I gonna have a load for him or am I not? You know, today we probably reject as much loads as we accept. It's just we don't have the capacity for it. Don't have the capacity. The dedicated lanes are a perfect example. You know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, selling a dedicated fleet was next to impossible. And the reason why is because almost never is it cost effective for the customer. Because you're charging the customer both ways, and they only get to use the truck one way. You know, so they're paying for your truck to utilize it just for the added capacity. So almost never was it really cost effective for a customer to do a dedicated fleet. Today, they don't even care. It has less to do with the cost and more to do with the secured capacity. You know, everybody's seen like what's going on down in California, the ports and stuff like that. You know, it's sad. It really is. So today, more than ever, dedicated is a huge deal. Huge deal. And we've expanded dedicated, almost tripled in size in the last 2 years in those fleets, which is massive. You know, and it's like Jason said, if all you had to do was hire dedicated, we just work from home. You know, people love it. So that's kind of in the works for Blackwell next year. I'm gonna continue selling dedicated, but we're gonna exponentially grow the over-the-road fleet as well. You know, we're really concentrating on getting the over-the-road fleet. This year, one of the things that happened, because we really didn't grow this year, and there was so much demand for dedicated, we ended up having to transfer a lot of our over-the-road drivers to dedicated. You know, by, you know, their will, I mean, they wanted to. But what ends up happening is you end up shorting that many drivers from our over-the-road customers. So now, where we used to be hauling 15 loads a week for this customer, now I can really only handle like 9 or 10. And that's putting a strain on them because now they gotta go source another truck to haul the freight that we used to haul. So this year, that's my goal, is to really build that fleet back up. You know, we wanna probably have that fleet around 120 trucks, somewhere around there, and then have another 50 to 60 trucks on dedicated, which is kind of where we're hovering right now. So unless I can get more equipment, then I'll grow both of them. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about what we do in Blackwell? Any questions? Any questions on the specific lanes you guys are going in? So, you know, for the students, for the experienced drivers, you know, some of the expectations that we have, I like to talk about expectations a little bit. And this is kind of my orientation speech right here, since I wasn't there for you guys. You know, some of my expectations, obviously, my job is to watch the assets themselves and make sure they're profitable. You know, that's my job. But more so, how do we get to that point? How does a truck make money? Well, obviously the tires need to be on the road and turning. But also managing that truck, managing that cost. And that's up to you guys. Now, the reason why we don't manage you guys, or excuse me, the reason why we don't micromanage you guys, like fuel, routing, things like this, is because we really want to enable you guys to make those decisions yourself. So we give you the resources to make those decisions. So my expectation for you guys is to keep that in mind. You know, I like to use the example of, if we gave you the keys to one of our trucks out there, yet every dollar you spent on that truck, fuel, tires, maintenance, you you had to pay for personally, right? Like, how would you do it? Like, what would you do? Where would you stop to make those purchases? Well, naturally, you're gonna try and do it the most efficient, least cost possible, because you don't wanna use your money. This is like an owner-operator mentality, you know what I mean? So, when we get into that mentality, the profitability goes up on the truck. Now, there's two thoughts here, right? I mean, why would I go to this place and spend this much on the fuel when I could go to this place and I kind of like it better when they want me to go to this place because it's cheaper, which all I'm doing is putting more money in the owner's pocket, making more money for the company. But the reality is in the last 3 or 4 years, we've really addressed this. It's really been a topic for us and the drivers and talking about it, helping them with the resources and their abilities. And this is what allows us to continue giving our drivers raises, okay? My card is big on this, right? Give it back. I mean, yeah, we're a for-profit carrier. I mean, we're here to make money. You guys are here to make money. I'm here to make money. But at the same time, we gotta keep the trucks full. And so in order to do that, we wanna set ourselves, a little bit different than most other carriers. We do that, number one, is with culture. Okay, that's huge for us as culture. But number two is obviously pay. I wanna pay you guys more money. So the more profitable the trucks are, the more we can afford to pay the drivers. And the corporate staff, obviously. Dispatchers are not easy to find either. Trust me, especially good ones. So I'm relying on you guys to make those decisions. Maintenance, huge for me. Maintenance costs are astronomical today. When you break down over the road, parts are an all-time low. We have an OTR team that handles all that, and they do a phenomenal job. But when there's something that's not in stock and is in back order, there's nothing they can do about that. So was it a preventative cost? Okay. Pre-trips on your trucks, it's simple. Can we catch it before we even break it? That's huge. You know what I mean? So maintenance for me is a big deal. You change your oil in your car every they recommend like 5,000-6,000 miles now. And if you go 8, it's not gonna blow up. You go 10, it's probably not gonna blow up. But if you do that over and over and over, yeah, you're decreasing the life of your vehicle, right? It's the same way with these trucks, only these trucks are way more regulated. And so all those systems that are in those trucks to regulate the emissions and all this, they require maintenance. Okay, so maintain, do your PMs, right? Tires are a huge cost, fuel's a huge cost. Okay, that's my expectation. CSA, big deal. Okay, our ability to drive up and down the road depends on our CSA scores. Okay, so it always frustrates me when we pull into a truck stop and we get shut down because brakes are out of adjustment. Like, how did that even happen? You know what I mean? That's your jobs. As drivers, that's your job. Check that. Okay, so for me, a lot of my expectations are really simple. We train our students especially to be truck drivers. And to be a truck driver, this is all included. Flip the table. Your expectations for me and your expectations for dispatch, I feel like these are basic as well. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Communication. Most drivers want communication. Okay, that's where am I going? How am I gonna do it? What am I supposed to be doing? It's good communication. Now when you cannot get a hold of anybody, that's poor communication. So I assume you guys want communication from us. Home time, right? Are we gonna get you home on time? Are we gonna give you the routes that you're supposed to be on? That's your expectation for us. Miles, most of our drivers are on mileage pay. So what's your miles? What do you want? My expectation is we're hovering right around 10,000 miles a month, which is extremely doable. In fact, the entire fleet averages right at about 10,000 miles. So that's a lot of guys that are doing well over that. The weed lane, minimum is 10,000 a month, right? In order to supply the salary, we need 10,000 miles on that truck, right? So I assume that your guys' expectation for us is that we're gonna help you guys get paid. What other expectations do you guys have? Any? I know you guys got expectations. Most likely you're gonna want a piece of equipment that's not gonna break down, right? So we're supplying you guys with good equipment. We turn our equipment pretty quick for a company. About 500,000 miles is where we run our trucks up to, and they're out of here. So new equipment, they're properly maintained. If they break down, we fix them immediately. So I assume that's probably expectation. Alright. Anybody have any questions for me? You guys are so quiet. There's certain groups that it's like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here, you gotta stop talking.
You have a very soothing voice,
I do? Are you falling asleep?
a little bit.
Oh, okay. It's a little warm in here, we could turn the AC on.
Please do.
Yeah?
We've had a pretty good training this week, and they were really thorough on explaining a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, taking us
Good.
over to the White House.
The White House, yeah.
Showing us over there. It's been good, educational.
Good. Well, we want to continue the education, obviously, especially for the students. It's just getting started now. And Ken's our backing coach now. And that's a pretty cool experience too. You know, I think it's unique to our training here that we do the backing class, because, you know, I'm sure we probably laid out some statistics for you guys, but I mean, the majority of claims in our industry are due to backing accidents. It's not these huge catastrophic forward collisions that you see. It's this stupid crap, man. It's like backing into a parking spot and they take out your mirror. That's, you know, these little tiny claims like under $1,000. That's the majority of accidents, and they're stupid. They're preventable, extremely preventable. But you'd be surprised how many people out there couldn't do it at all, that don't know how to do it at all. I've talked to experienced drivers, like 3 and 4 years of experience, that have come from some of these national carriers, and they fail backing. You know, and Jason goes, well, yeah, your experience, like, how did you fail backing? Well, it's pretty simple. They didn't require us to back. You know, I mean, like, some of these big carriers, how do they not make you back up a trailer? Like, did you never bump a dog? No, never. There's drop and hook everywhere. 99.9% drop and hook. Well, what happens if you got to a truck stop and the only spot that's left at 11 o'clock at night is a back end? Oh, I go to the next truck stop. Nah, I'm not okay with that. So, I mean, that is a really valuable experience for you guys. So you guys will be excited about that. And then go over the road and get your truck. All right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So while we're training, we don't go home at all?
That's not true.
That's, okay.
No, I mean, so obviously you're gonna go home. This is probably, especially in your lane, this is probably honestly the longest you will not be home. And it's just because it's, for one, we're trying to cram a lot of freight in a short amount of time. I mean, even 4 weeks over the road, I feel like is not that much time, right? So we really are pushing to get as much done as possible so that when you get your truck assignment, you're 100% confident. However, that doesn't mean you're not gonna be home by any means. I mean, we always try and get the students home as well.
Okay.
So it depends on who your coach is, what lane he's on. If you're going up and down I-5, which most likely you will be, you'll probably see home.
Okay, cause we were told we weren't even going home for Christmas.
By us?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
I'm not looking for names, but
No, I don't, well, I mean, we can talk about that later, but no, that's not true. I mean, you live local, right? I mean, Corny's local.
Yeah.
Do you have a car up here?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was an option to not bring it, so I'm gonna try to get it home tonight.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, if you left a car here, if you can leave a car here, that makes it a lot easier for you to get home. Because a lot of the guys come through the yard anyways. If you're going on the weed lane and you coach in the weed lane, like your coach is in the weed lane, pretty much every weekend, they're parking here at the yard, so if you had a car, you could just drive it home for the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's up to you. But I wouldn't say that. So after coaching, like I said, I mean, coaching is probably gonna be the longest time you'd not be home. And it's just by nature of, you know, where you guys live and the lanes and all that. But then afterwards, that lane by design is to get you home.
Right.
Yeah, it really is. So, and then, you know, OGC is the same way. I mean, you live in Portland, you're delivering to Portland, so it's like every other day, right? Any other questions? Negative? Yeah, I'm good if you guys are good. I'm glad everybody's here. Welcome.
Thanks.
All right.